We're a local company. I think we share some of the same values that you have. We're still family owned. We're based out of Lincoln, Nebraska. We have a store out west. We have one store in Iowa. So everything that we do goes back to support the community. So we really support local because we are local. So over the course of the number of years I've been in the business, about 30 years, we've always supported local, and we've seen a kind of a transition of the perception of local. And one of the things I'm going to start with, maybe give us some perspective, a retail perspective as far as what local is, and from the customer's point of view. You know, when I started, local was the farmer down the street or the next town over. It was the person with a garden in the backyard. You know, if they harvested 20 cucumbers, they'd bring to the store and they try to sell them to you in the store. And for us at that time, local kind of was fresher because it was closer. And it was cheaper. I mean, because of less transportation, and you were kind of competing against the conventionally grown products from California, Mexico, Florida, wherever. The idea was we got it fresher and it was cheaper. With the advent of farmers markets, the whole perception changed. And I think your perception, if you sell at a farmers market, your perception changed. Local is hot. I mean, if you're not in a position where you're trying to sell your local produce beyond even farmers markets, you're missing a big opportunity. Local's been hot now for the last couple of years. The biggest trend gain over the last 5 years was organic. You started to see people think about the carbon footprint. You know, they started thinking that organic was healthier. So they started really focusing on organic. We saw double-digit increases in organic and a bigger demand for organic. Over the last 4 years, we saw local kind of step on organic just a little bit. We've seen organic slow down a little bit, and people really focus on local. Because, again, they think it's fresher. They think as far as the carbon footprint goes, it's better for the environment. Everybody wants to make a connection. You know, social media, everybody's connected now. Everybody's connected. People want to have a connection with what they're eating as opposed to just buying product or produce and taking it home and eating it. So what you've seen is that still freshness idea of local, but now it's a premium product as opposed to a cheaper product. And when I say cheaper, I don't mean grade the quality, it was just cheaper to buy. Now people want to pay a little bit more of a premium. And I think there might be a perception gap between growers and retailers in terms of what you can charge for your product. At a farmer's market, you can charge whatever you want. Because those people are there because they want to be there. They came there specifically to buy your products. So they're willing to pay a premium for your products. Selling at retail has some advantages. They kind of offset that a little bit. But for selling to a retailer, we still consider local premium because of demand. It's like anything else. The higher the demand, the higher you can charge. But at the same time, we have to give you a perspective. Here's where the market's at. And even though we're going to pay you the premium side of that market, as opposed to being able to just pay you at the farmer's market. Because whatever margin you're trying to make at the farmer's market, we're trying to make less margin at retail. So we have to have a little bit lower cost of goods going in, so we can still offer your products and be able to take care of our customers at the same time. So real quick, you know, what's local? I mean, what are the regulations for calling something local? Does anybody know? Anybody have any ideas? 100 miles. Anybody else?
250-mile radius.
250-mile radius? There is no regulation for calling something local. Seriously, there's absolutely no regulation. And that's what we're seeing now is a lot of people, companies, really pushing local, but kind of stretching that local out a little bit. They might call it local. They might transition to Midwestern grown or regionally grown. But you know, for Russ's Market, Super Savers, Russ's Market, we have a Go Local program. It's Nebraska sourced products only. So it has to be grown in Nebraska to fit into our definition of local Russ's Markets. For Super Saver, it's like a 200-mile radius, but it's within a 4-state region. The Super Saver will call something, we have a Go Local program, which it has to be grown either in Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri. And it has to be grown within 200 miles. So that kind of shows you that even the distinction in our groups as far as what we call local in one group, what we call local in another group. The hazard is you've got some regional players in our market that have multiple stores across multiple states. And in their mind, local is anywhere within that 8-state region that they have stores. So they might have a store in Michigan and they're buying something local in Michigan, they might still call it local here. Because to them, as a company, it's a local product. I mean, one thing that kind of shows you that is there's a store that advertises mushrooms, and they call them local. Or they might even call them Midwestern grown. They've called them local before. And I don't know anybody in Nebraska that grows mushrooms. If they do, then call me up, because maybe we'll buy some. But that's kind of what you're battling right now in terms of on the retail market. There's that perception people want local, but because there's such a high demand, people are really starting to play with the term local a little bit. But one thing I'll say, even in our super savers, if we have that 4-state region, if we get something in Nebraska, we highlight the fact that it's from Nebraska. Because in our customers' minds, local is local. I mean, Nebraska grown, you can't get any more recognized as local than Nebraska grown. So yeah, so when you have the perception that, well, my product's local, you know, you're battling against maybe some people that have a different perception of what local is. There's some advantages to retail sales. Who sells at farmers markets? Raise your hand. Yeah, what's the hazard of selling at a farmers market? Anybody want to give you some ideas?
Too much of one product.
What's that?
Too much of one product.
As far as too much to sell at that market?
Well, everybody has the same thing that you have.
There you go. You're competing against other local growers. And you do that at retail level too, but at the same time, everybody at the farmers markets too. So it's kind of like, you kind of, even though it's a special event, you kind of lose the specialness of, I've got a local product, so does everybody else. What's another hazard of selling at farmers market?
Sometimes it's a lack of market there, because you've had, it was mentioned earlier, new growers come in and they figure, you know, this item, whatever it is, that might normally sell for $2, they're selling it for 50 cents because they got a bunch of them.
Yeah, you have to move the product. I mean, your goal is, I'm assuming your goal is what you bring, you need to try to sell, make it worth your while. Yeah, so that's another hazard. What's another hazard?
Nebraska football game.
Yeah, Nebraska football game. You mean it's too much business or it kills your business?
It kills your business.
Yeah, we have the same problem in our stores. You know, if it's busy before the game. If it's an afternoon game or evening, it's great, but if it's midday, then you're busy up beforehand. But for us, they can come shop with us Friday night, Thursday, whatever. They can plan ahead. For you, it just kills your business. Exactly. It probably creates some extra business to start, but it flattens out after. Anything else?
Rain is not weather.
Yeah, weather. I mean, you're out there. Time. When you look at your time involved and your return on your time. I don't know if it's satisfactory or not, but there's a lot of advantage to retail sales. The first one is you have an opportunity to probably sell a larger quantity in a smaller amount of time. You know, because for us, we're going to buy large bulk quantities. So rather than having to go out and spend all day trying to sell and having to work within that framework, we're going to buy for a week's time. And then, so you're going to be able to sell a lot more in less time. Obviously, you're going to spend less labor. I know farmers markets are great. So I'm not trying to detract from farmers markets. They serve a purpose. They're an event. You know, I don't try to compete with farmers markets. I can't compete with farmers markets. Where I compete is offering your products during the week when you can't buy at the farmers market. You know, and there's a lot of farmers markets anymore. I mean, even that's a little bit saturated. I think the specialness of going downtown on a Saturday morning has kind of been degraded by the fact that I can go to Fallbrook, you know, on Tuesday or Thursday. I can go to another community in another part of the week and so forth. So it's kind of lost a little bit. I have to get down there in order to get the product. I can kind of take my time now. So that kind of impacts you a little bit. But yeah, you don't have to spend the labor. I mean, for us, we arrange the transportation, or we figure out some way to coordinate the transportation so you make one-stop delivery, and then you save all that time and labor and the cost of that time and labor. You know, for retail, you can reach customers 7 days a week, and in some of our cases, 24 hours a day. I mean, so suddenly the viability and visibility of your product increases dramatically by having it in our stores. Because we're gonna tell people where our product comes from, not just Nebraska, but ideally what farm it's coming from. You know, Ryan supplies us with broccoli and cabbage. We make sure our customers understand where this product's coming from. We've done a good job establishing customer loyalty with Daniel's corn in our stores. People wait all year for the start of the Daniel's corn season. And ideally, we want to do that with all of our local products if we can. You know, if the supply is great enough, that we've got the penetration of our customers, we definitely want them to start thinking, I need to buy this corn, I need to buy this cabbage, this broccoli, and I need to buy it from us as markets. Obviously, we're a little selfish there, but the idea is we want to be able to do that. And then the other thing kind of goes back to that, you're competing against the same thing at farmers markets. We feature the products in our stores. I mean, so we have a select variety, at the same time, we highlight the fact that we have local products. So it kind of becomes that premium or premier item in our departments during the seasons. If you go into our Russell's markets, we have banners with a few local growers. We have Andy Daniels hung up in our departments. We have Bob Elgott, because those are the two suppliers we've worked with for the longest period of time. But we want to be able to do that. We want to be able to put a face with the product that we sell. Now, as far as how to go to market with us, you know, in the past, people would show up at the front door or back door, say, I got a load of cantaloupe unannounced. We'd go out there and we'd look at it, we'd decide, well, it looks pretty good, negotiate a price, and we'd buy it. We don't do that anymore. We used to buy it, like I said, people would go deal in their gardens, you know, pops up every year, they just pick it and bring it to us, we'd buy it. We can't do that anymore because the need for traceability and the liability aspect of selling produce. So now, in order to do business with local growers, we have to get you set up as a new vendor. So there has to be some kind of initial contact prior to the season. You know, we can still do it as the season progresses. You know, somebody says, hey, I've got something I want to sell you, and we can say, you know what, if we have a need for it, let's get you set up. But it just kind of prolongs it, and then there's that uncertainty. I mean, we have I don't know how you feel. I don't know how you go about business. I mean, in the past, it kind of seemed like a lot of people grew a lot of stuff and hoped they had an opportunity to sell it. And one of the benefits of working with a retailer is we can plan before the season starts, give you an idea of what we sell throughout the season. You can kind of coordinate your plannings to help support what you want to sell to us. And then if we develop a relationship, we'll stand by it. As long as the product's fresh, it's good, as long as you're competitive, we'll stand by it. Our goal is to try to develop relationships, not just to buy your product. You know, like I said, we've been using Daniel's corn for years and years. We've had a relationship with Bob Elgott for years. So we definitely want to develop a relationship as opposed to just developing a business relationship. We want a personal relationship. One of the benefits I have buying from local growers, I get to see you, I get to know you. I buy stuff in California, it's a business. We just bring it in, turn it, sell it, and move on and buy something else. So for me, it's a good benefit. There's a lot of good people in Nebraska, a lot of good people growing. I value that opportunity to kind of interact with those people and be able to support them at the same time they're trying to help support us. So to be a vendor, you have to have a federal tax ID number. That's the first thing we ask for, is federal tax ID number. And then we ask for a certificate of insurance. And usually the minimum anymore is $2 million worth of liability insurance, just to give you some perspective to what's required. And then, like I said, you need to figure out what works for you. We get in contact, or you get in contact with us. We try to get in contact with you too. We've made some steps over the years to try to search out suppliers for different things. But it still kind of comes down to that the biggest handicap I've seen in the past is two things. One is communication, figuring out how to get together with people. Two is transportation, how to figure out how to get the product from you to us. Because you know, we have some guidelines even in terms of how we receive product anymore. It used to be, again, somebody show up at the back door at 3 in the afternoon, we just go out and talk to them. Even if you're a vendor of ours, you show up at the back door at 3 o'clock, we have receiving hours now. You know, in certain situations we make exceptions, but really we need to make you work within our receiving hours to make it beneficial to us. Because, again, along with liabilities, there are different set levels of controls now that we have to put in place. So, you know, when you're trying to, if you're delivering to stores now and you're trying to deliver to multiple stores, like, you know, we have 18 stores, you're trying to deliver to half of those stores, you know, 8, 9 stores, you have to be there within a framework of 4 to 5 hours in the morning. Is that even feasible for you if you have one truck that you're delivering with? Maybe not. So we have some alternatives now that we didn't have previously have in the past. Some of the obstacles we're talking about, one we just talked about, you know, generating a connection. You have to kind of, how do you contact me? You know, like the chef, I'll leave some business cards that you can contact me. We're working with some distributors. Lone Tree Foods is one of them. We started working with them last year. We've been buying quite a bit of product from Lone Tree Foods. And the other one is Lafredo Fresh Produce out of Des Moines. They have an office in Omaha. We've kind of got them set up so either you make one drop to Omaha and then they disperse it out to our stores. They're coming to our stores anyway. Or else, if they're going out to pick something up, so you know, we buy corn out of Columbus and melons out by Grand Island, St. Leroy. So they're going out there to pick some stuff up. We kind of coordinate so everything gets dropped off maybe at one of our stores. We do a cross dock where we just switch it from one truck to the next, and then they deliver it to our stores. So there's some good opportunities there for us. One of your obstacles you might think is the fact that, well, I don't have enough product to sell you. You know, I don't have enough to supply 18 stores. You don't have to supply 18 stores. You have to give us an idea of what you have to sell, and we can kind of coordinate it with a banner, whether it's Russell Market Super Savers. We can coordinate it with a number of stores. I know with Ryan, you know, he doesn't have enough to supply our stores, but one week we send it to a few of our stores. Next week we sell it into another set of our stores. We kind of go back and forth between them. So there's ways, regardless of what quantity you have, that we can kind of help coordinate to get the product to our market. That being said, you really have to have enough quantity to make it work our business. So you know, you can't bring me, I got a dozen eggplant I want to sell them to you. Well, it really didn't benefit me a whole lot to bring me a dozen eggplant, or go pick them up, whatever it might be. Retail packs. However you sell it needs to be sold in such a way that we can sell it in our stores. You know, I don't know how you sell kohlrabi or beets at the farmer's market, but for us, we sell them by the bunch. So think about, you might have to take that extra step to make it sellable for us. You might have to bunch things together. You know, there are certain things that sell by the pound, which is no big deal. We can sell those pretty easily. But you have to think about what's the best way to do a retail pack. Case shipments, bin shipments, you know, the way you bring the stuff to market. You know, you might be able to go to a farmer's market in the back of a pickup truck, open the back of a pickup truck. For us, you're going to have to invest in some kind of case, some kind of vessel to put the product in for us to be able to accept it. So it can be defined that, okay, this case has 14 bunches of broccoli in it, or 50 pounds of cabbage, whatever it might be, or 48 ears of corn. So we know what we're paying for, so when we pay for it, we know the value of what we're going to sell. So there might be a little bit more work in terms of investment in supply, and then a little more work in terms of labor to make sure that things are segregated in such a way that we can receive it and by package. And then I don't know, does anybody do any kind of packaged goods? What do you sell?
Different dry goods?
Yeah, dry goods. But you know, if it comes in a package anymore, it's going to have some kind of retail on it. It's going to have some kind of UPC on it. You know, because the technology is such that if it comes in a package, well, it used to be that all the cans were hand marked by hand and everything. You know, now everything just runs to the register, brings it up. So if you're looking at a packaged item, you know, you really need to look at some kind of UPC. You know, bulk items, we really haven't pressed the fact that you need a PLU sticker on them. We've asked because he has it available to them, we've asked our watermelon supplier to put stickers on the watermelon sometimes, because we buy both seedless watermelon and seeded, different sizes, different prices. So to push off any checker confusion, we have a sticker either seedless or seeded kind of thing. Just so and it benefits us, it benefits him, because it makes it easier for us to buy from him. So, what kind of questions do you have?
I was curious, do you ever buy vacuum sealed stuff?